If you've ever seen photos like this, I'm sure you've wondered, how in the world do the photographers edit the skin to look so flawless? The technique is called frequency separation, which is done in Photoshop, and I did it here with this photo. I'm going to walk you through how I did it, but I will say this technique takes a lot of practice, so go easy on yourself. And here's the visual you never asked for. Frequency separation is when you take an original photo and you split the color and the texture into two separate layers. And we do that because we want to edit the color separately and the texture separately before basically gluing it back together. Okay, how do we do that? So we're going to right click and open our photo in Photoshop. It will first open in the camera raw window. Before you do anything else, go to the optics section and make sure your profile corrections box is checked before you click open. Once you click open, it's open in Photoshop. We're going to quickly name our layer and lock it so we have a copy of the original photo. We're going to duplicate that layer 2 more times. We're going to name the very top layer texture and the middle layer color. We're going to work in our color layer first, so hide the texture layer. You're going to hit filter, blur, Gaussian blurs. I stay around 15 to 30 pixels. You want it to be blurry enough for the colors to be blended together well, but you want the photo to still be recognizable. So once we have a nice little blend going on, again, less is more. We're going to go back into our layers and click on the texture layer so that we will be working in that layer now, and then you're going to hit image, apply image. Go into the blending mode and hit subtract, and then go into the layer and make sure you press color. Then you're going to make sure that the scale is 2 and the offset is 128. I know these settings are oddly specific, but just go through the motions and I promise that the understanding will come later. So you'll hit OK, and you can see now that I've subtracted all the color from this layer, but you can see that there is tons of texture left, which is what we love. Change your blend mode to linear light, and when you change the blend mode to linear light, the original photo should come back, so that is an indicator that you did frequency separation correctly. Ability of each layer, you'll see that there's texture on one layer and there's color on another layer, but when you have them both visible, you have your original photo, and that's how you'll know that you did it correctly. Group your layers into a folder and name it frequency separation, so you can toggle it later to check your work as you go. This part is totally optional, but what I'm doing here is I'm just duplicating this folder so I have an extra copy of the original layers, and I'm just going to keep that off to the side. So I have all my layers now. They're labeled and organized. I've set up my workspace and I'm ready to start editing. I'm going to summarize all the tools that I'll be using ahead of time for each layer, so be prepared to screenshot. In the color layer, I will be using the lasso tool. This is what the icon looks like. The feathering radius will be at 20 pixels so that there isn't any hard edges. For the texture layer, I'll be using the patch tool, the clone stamp tool, and the lasso tool with the